You are a big coward. Breaking news. Paul Heyman fires back at Bron Breakker for ambushing Reed on Raw. This is absolutely explosive. Paul Heyman just delivered the most scathing, brutal verbal assassination of Bron Breakker in WWE history, calling him a big coward and disgrace to his family legacy after Bron's vicious ambush of Bronson Reed on Raw. Heyman, now serving as Reed's advocate, held nothing back in a promo that has the entire wrestling world divided and Bron Breakker absolutely furious. What Heyman said about the Steiner family is causing massive controversy, and Bron's response is making everyone question if WWE has created a feud that's too personal and too intense. If you're as shocked as I am by Heyman's attack on Bron, destroy that like button and tell me in the comments if Heyman crossed a line or spoke the truth. This is must-see drama. Let's go! To understand why Paul Heyman is furious, we need to revisit what happened on Monday Night Raw that triggered this nuclear response. Bronson Reed was scheduled for a standard match against a mid-card competitor when disaster struck. Reed was in complete control of his match, having dominated for about 8 minutes. He was setting up for his devastating tsunami splash, his signature move that has ended countless matches. The crowd was into it, knowing the finish was near. Reed climbed to the top rope, his 330-pound frame perched precariously on the turnbuckle. The crowd was on their feet, anticipating the massive splash that would seal the victory. But then, out of nowhere, Bron Breakker's music hit. The second-generation superstar came charging down the ramp with malicious intent. No warning, no provocation, just pure aggression. Bron slid into the ring and shoved Reed off the top rope. Bronson crashed to the outside, his massive body hitting the floor with a sickening thud. The sound echoed through the arena like a car crash. The referee immediately called for the bell, disqualifying Bron, but Bron didn't care about the match result. This wasn't about winning, this was about destruction. Bron exited the ring and continued his assault. He grabbed Reed and delivered a brutal spear on the exposed concrete floor. Reed's body folded in half from the impact. Medical personnel immediately started rushing to ringside, but Bron still wasn't finished. He grabbed the steel steps, lifted them above his head, showcasing his incredible strength, and threw them at Reed's prone body. The steps crashed into Reed's ribs with devastating force. Security finally arrived and pulled Bron away, but the damage was done. Bronson Reed was left writhing in pain on the floor, clutching his ribs, unable to breathe properly. EMTs immediately began checking Reed's vitals. Oxygen was brought out. The crowd was silent, that uncomfortable silence that happens when everyone realizes they've witnessed something too real. As Reed was being helped to the back, Bron grabbed a microphone and delivered a chilling message. Bronson Reed, you and Paul Heyman wanted my attention? You got it. But be careful what you wish for. Raw went to commercial with Reed being assisted backstage, the severity of his condition unknown. This was the ambush that set everything in motion. An unprovoked, brutal attack that crossed the line from professional wrestling to personal vendetta. Quick question for the comments, was Bron's attack justified or completely out of line? Paul Heyman didn't wait long to respond. The very next day, WWE.com posted a video of Heyman's statement, and it was fire from the opening word. Heyman, dressed in his signature suit, standing in what appeared to be a professional studio setting, didn't waste time with pleasantries. His face showed genuine anger, his voice dripping with contempt. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul Heyman, and I am the advocate for Bronson Reed. Heyman began, his trademark introduction delivered with extra intensity. Yesterday on Monday Night Raw, the wrestling world witnessed an act of cowardice that will forever stain the legacy of one Bron Breakker. Heyman's voice rose with each word. Bron Breakker, you coward. You big, scared, insecure coward. You call yourself a Steiner? You call yourself a second-generation superstar? You're a disgrace to your family name. The intensity was off the charts. Heyman was going hard at Bron's family legacy. Your uncle, Scott Steiner, was many things, controversial, outspoken, dangerous. But he was never a coward who attacked people from behind. Your father, Rick Steiner, was a warrior who faced his opponents head-on. But you're a sniveling, scared little boy hiding behind sneak attacks. Heyman was eviscerating Bron's character. You attacked Bronson Reed when his back was turned. When he was focused on his match. When he was vulnerable. That's not strength, Bron. That's weakness. That's the action of someone who knows he can't beat Reed in a fair fight. Then Heyman shifted to Reed's condition. Because of your cowardice, Bronson Reed is in a medical facility right now undergoing tests for rib injuries. Potential broken ribs. Potential internal injuries. A man who shows up and works every single week is now hurt because you couldn't face him like a man. Heyman's face showed genuine emotion. Was it real concern for his client or masterful selling? Either way, it was compelling. But here's what you need to understand, Bron. Heyman's tone shifted to something more menacing. You didn't just attack Bronson Reed, you attacked my client. And when you attack a Paul Heyman guy, there are consequences. Bronson Reed will recover. And when he does, you're going to face him in a match where your cowardly tactics won't save you. where you can't run away, where you'll have to face the full fury of a man you betrayed. Heyman concluded with a threat. Bron Breakker, you wanted to make a statement? Congratulations! You've made one. You've proven you're a coward. And in 3 weeks at the next premium live event, Bronson Reed is going to make you famous for all the wrong reasons. The video ended with Heyman's intense stare into the camera, the image freezing on his anger. The wrestling world exploded. Social media was flooded with reactions. Was Heyman right? Was Bron a coward? Or was this just Heyman being Heyman? Bron Breakker did not take Heyman's verbal assault lying down. Later that same day, Bron posted his own video response, and he was livid. Bron appeared in workout gear, clearly having just finished a training session, sweat visible on his face, intensity in his eyes. Paul Heyman. Bron's voice was shaking with rage. You want to call me a coward? You want to talk about my family? You just made the biggest mistake of your life. Bron was seething. I am Bron Breakker. I am a Steiner. And I don't need anyone's approval to do what I do. I attacked Bronson Reed because he's been running his mouth. Because he's been talking about taking my spot. Because he needed to be put in his place. The justification felt weak, but Bron was selling it with conviction. You call me a coward, Heyman? Bron got closer to the camera. I'm the guy who's here every single week. I'm the guy who carries Raw on his back. I'm the future of this company. And Bronson Reed? He's just another big guy who's going to be forgotten. Then Bron addressed Heyman directly, and you, Paul Heyman, you think you're some legendary manager? You think being Bronson Reed's advocate makes you special? You're just an old man living off past glory. Brock doesn't need you anymore. Roman doesn't need you anymore. And Bronson Reed? He's going to realize he doesn't need you either. Bron was attacking Heyman's relevance. You want Bronson Reed to face me at the premium live event? Fine, I accept. But not just a regular match. No, I want Bronson Reed in a steel cage. No running away. No outside interference. No Paul Heyman sticking his nose in my business. A cage match. The stakes just got raised. And when I destroy Bronson Reed inside that cage, Bron's voice was at maximum intensity. When I prove to the world that I'm the most dominant force on Raw, you're going to stand in that ring, Paul Heyman, and you're going to apologize for calling me a coward. The demand for an apology was a nice storytelling touch. Bronson Reed has 2 weeks to recover. Bron concluded. 2 weeks to get medically cleared. 2 weeks to prepare for the beating of his life. And Paul Heyman? You better hope your client doesn't get hurt so bad that he needs a new advocate. Bron's video ended with him throwing his water bottle at the camera in frustration, the feed cutting to black. The battle lines were drawn. Heyman versus Bron in a war of words. Reed versus Bron in a cage match. The heat was nuclear. Do you think Bron will apologize to Heyman if he wins? Comment yes or no. Heyman's comments about Bron being a disgrace to his family touched a nerve because the Steiner legacy is legendary. Let's examine what makes these comments so loaded. Rick was one half of the Steiner brothers, arguably the greatest tag team of the 1990s. Rick and Scott dominated every territory they worked. Rick was known for his incredible amateur wrestling background, NCAA Division I wrestler, dog-faced gimmick that fans loved, tag team chemistry with Scott that was unmatched, longevity, wrestled from 1983 to 2009. Rick represented old school values, hard work, respect for the business, toughness. He was never the most charismatic, but he was respected. Scott evolved from tag team specialist to single star, Big Papa Pump. Scott was an incredible athlete, could do standing moonsaults at 270 pounds. A main event heel in WCW known for controversial promos and intense character work, physically imposing with his bodybuilder physique. Scott represented the evolution of the Steiner name, taking the family reputation and amplifying it to main event status. Bron carries massive expectations. He's supposed to have Rick's toughness and Scott's charisma, represent the next generation of Steiners, uphold the family's reputation for excellence, prove that wrestling genes produce wrestling greatness. When Heyman called Bron a disgrace, he attacked Bron's identity. For someone whose entire presentation is built on family legacy, being told you're failing that legacy is devastating. Heyman essentially said, your father and uncle were real men. You're a pretender. Imagine being in your mid-20s, trying to build your career, while constantly being compared to legendary family members. Every mistake is magnified. Every success is attributed to genetics rather than personal work. Heyman's comments play into Bron's potential insecurity about living up to the Steiner name. Interestingly, Rick Steiner, in real life, has been silent on this storyline. He hasn't publicly supported or condemned Bron's actions. That silence is telling. Is Rick disappointed in Bron's tactics? Does he agree with Heyman? Or is he letting his son handle his own business? The ambiguity adds another layer to this feud. Rumors are circulating that Scott Steiner might make a WWE appearance to address this situation. Would Scott defend Bron and attack Heyman? Agree with Heyman that Bron is being cowardly? use this as an opportunity to promote himself? Scott's unpredictability makes him a wild card in this situation. Let's discuss Bronson Reed's status because his medical condition determines whether the cage match even happens. WWE.com posted, Bronson Reed underwent comprehensive medical evaluation following Monday's attack. Preliminary diagnosis indicates bruised ribs and potential intercostal muscle strain. Further testing is being conducted to rule out fractures or internal injuries. Translation: Reed is hurt but probably not seriously enough to prevent him from competing. Bruised ribs typically require 2 to 4 weeks for full recovery. Intercostal strains, rib muscle injuries, can take similar time. The premium live event is in 3 weeks, which is cutting it close. Reed might be cleared to compete but not at 100%. Reed competing injured creates drama. Will his ribs hold up? Can Bron target the injury? Will Heyman try to get the match postponed? Reed posted on social media, Bron Breakker, you coward. You attack me from behind because you know you can't beat me face to face. My ribs are bruised but not broken. And in 3 weeks, I'm going to make sure you're the one in a hospital bed. Paul Heyman is right, you're a disgrace. Reed echoing Heyman's coward comments creates unity between advocate and client. WWE posted video of Reed training despite his injury. Footage showed Reed doing light cardio, wearing a protective rib wrap, grimacing through certain movements, looking determined. This footage accomplishes multiple goals, shows Reed's toughness, reminds fans he's legitimately hurt, builds sympathy for Reed as the victim, creates doubt about whether he'll be 100% for the match. WWE doctors will need to clear Reed to compete. This creates storyline tension. What if doctors say Reed can't compete? Does the match get postponed? Does Heyman fight for his client's right to compete? Does Bron mock Reed for being too weak? These are compelling storyline threads. Bron's challenge for a steel cage match changes everything about this feud. Let's analyze what this stipulation means. Bron's stated reason: preventing outside interference and ensuring Reed can't escape. The real reason: cage matches are violent, brutal, and perfect for heated feuds. Some of wrestling's most memorable moments happened in cages: Mankind vs. Undertaker, Hell in a Cell 1998, Brett vs. Owen, SummerSlam 1994, Magnum TA vs. Tully Blanchard, Starrcade 1985. Cages represent no escape, maximum violence, and definitive victories. In a traditional WWE cage match, win by pinfall, submission, or escape, no disqualifications, can use the cage as a weapon. First person to escape, over the top or through the door, wins, can use his power against the cage, can prevent Reed from using his size advantage to escape, forces a definitive victory. His weight makes climbing difficult, but his power makes pinfall victories likely, can use the cage to deliver devastating moves, like Tsunami Splash while Reed is against the cage, can't interfere physically but can still coach from ringside, can potentially unlock the door or help Reed escape. Cage matches create claustrophobia. Both men trapped with nowhere to run creates intensity. For Bron, who called Reed a coward, the cage means Reed can't run. For Reed, who wants revenge, the cage means Bron can't escape justice. What high-risk moves might we see? Reed Tsunami Splash from the top of the cage? Bron spear into the cage wall? Both men climbing simultaneously, fighting on top? Cage door used as weapon against Reed's injured ribs? These possibilities create anticipation. Paul Heyman serving as Bronson Reed's advocate adds layers to this storyline. Let's explore this relationship. Reed is an incredible physical performer but has struggled with promo work. Heyman gives Reed a voice to express his character, credibility through association, strategic guidance, a mouthpiece to cut promos while Reed focuses on wrestling. Heyman has advocated for Brock Lesnar, made him seem unstoppable, CM Punk, helped elevate him to main event, Roman Reigns, guided his evolution to tribal chief. Each client benefited from Heyman's gift of gab. Their pairing works because Reed's silent intensity contrasts Heyman's verbose style. Reed does the fighting, Heyman does the talking. They both have chips on shoulders, Reed being underutilized, Heyman being dismissed as past his prime. When Heyman called Bron a coward, it wasn't just about defending Reed, it was about Heyman's ego. Heyman is saying, I don't advocate for losers. If you attack my client, you're questioning my judgment, and I won't tolerate that. If Reed loses the cage match, it damages Heyman's reputation. He'll be seen as backing another failure. This creates stakes for Heyman personally, not just for Reed. Reed has to trust Heyman's guidance. Does Reed listen to strategy? Does he follow Heyman's game plan? If Reed ignores Heyman's advice and loses, it creates conflict between them. Wrestling history suggests advocate/client relationships often end in betrayal. Could Heyman turn on Reed mid-match? Reed turn on Heyman for costing him? Another client emerge, making Reed jealous? These possibilities keep fans guessing. What's your prediction? Will Heyman and Reed stay together long-term? Comment yes or no. This feud isn't just playing out on WWE television, it's exploding on social media. Let's examine the online battle. Bron is the future. Reed is just another big guy. Heyman backing Reed doesn't make him special. Bron's attack was strategic. In wrestling, you take advantages when you can. That's not cowardly, that's smart. Heyman is just trying to stay relevant by managing Reed. He's desperate. Bron is a coward. Attacking someone from behind proves it. Heyman is right about Bron disgracing his family. Rick and Scott would never attack someone during their match. Reed is going to destroy Bron in the cage. Justice is coming. Interestingly, fans are split pretty evenly. This is perfect for WWE because it means both characters have support, the feud feels real with legitimate debate, no clear babyface/heel, everyone's a shade of gray. The Heyman/Bron verbal battle is bringing heat to this feud. The cage match should be excellent. I'm surprised WWE is letting Heyman reference Bron's family so directly. It adds realism but could be controversial. Sources indicate Bron and Reed have been working closely to plan the cage match. It's going to be physical. Sports Illustrated ran a story, Paul Heyman's War of Words, Why Wrestling's Greatest Manager Still Matters. TMZ picked up the story, WWE star called coward in brutal verbal attack. The mainstream coverage creates buzz beyond wrestling fans. Fans are creating "you're a big coward" memes, photoshopped images of Heyman and Bron arguing, video compilations of Bron's past attacks labeled coward moments, side-by-side comparisons of Rick/Scott Steiner versus Bron's tactics. This user-generated content spreads the feud further. Let's predict how the steel cage match plays out. Multiple scenarios are possible. Bron dominates despite Reed's size, targets Reed's injured ribs, hits a massive spear, escapes the cage while Reed is incapacitated, establishes Bron as top heel. Reed looks strong in defeat, rematch potential. Reed powers through injury, hits tsunami splash from cage top, pins Bron decisively. Heyman celebrates ringside. Reed gets revenge, Bron's character takes a hit, feud potentially ends. Match is extremely close, both men climbing cage simultaneously. Bron's foot touches first oar. Referee makes controversial call. Reed protests the decision. Feud continues with rematch. Fans debate the finish. Heat stays high. Both men escape simultaneously. Referees can't determine winner. Match declared a draw. Forces a tiebreaker match. Keeps feud going. Frustrates both characters. Despite cage, someone interferes. Maybe through door? Could be pro Bron, someone tired of Reed, or pro Reed. Surprise ally. Finish is tainted. Creates new storyline branches. Adds complexity to feud. Bron wins controversially. Maybe Heyman accidentally costs Reed by trying to help. This gives Bron the win, protects his push, keeps Reed strong, didn't lose clean, creates Reed/Heyman tension. Did Heyman cost him? Extends the feud for future matches regardless of winner. The aftermath is crucial. Will Bron show respect? Reed accept defeat gracefully? Heyman cause problems? Another wrestler get involved? The post-match sets up future storylines. This feud has implications beyond just Bron and Reed. Let's examine the bigger picture. Solidifies his position as top heel, proves he can beat larger opponents, potentially moves to championship picture, validates his aggressive tactics, takes his first major loss, might trigger character evolution, could lead to partnership or faction. Revenge becomes his new motivation, gets revenge and justice, establishes himself as main event player, validates Heyman's advocacy, opens door to championship opportunities, remains in upper midcard. Questions arise about Heyman. Partnership might need new direction, could trigger heel turn or character change, proves his advocacy still matters, can claim credit for Reed's success, potentially attracts more clients, remains relevant in modern WWE. This feud creates main event level talent, either Bron or Reed emerges, compelling television driving ratings, merchandise opportunities, long-term storytelling possibilities. Winner of this feud likely enters championship contention. Could we see Bron versus Intercontinental Champion? Reed versus World Heavyweight Champion? Either man winning title within 6 months? Could either man recruit allies? Bron forming a new generation Steiner family faction? Reed joining an established group? Heyman bringing in additional clients? Depending on how this resolves, WrestleMania could feature Bron in a showcase match, Reed in a multi-man ladder match, a rematch between them on the biggest stage. Let's analyze why the Heyman/Bron/Reed feud is working and what makes it compelling. Everyone has understandable motivations. Bron wants to establish dominance, Reed wants revenge for ambush, Heyman wants to prove his advocacy matters. No convoluted reasoning, just simple, relatable goals. This isn't about championships, though that might come. It's about respect, reputation, family legacy, pride. Personal stakes always resonate more than gold belts. Heyman brings verbal warfare. Bron and Reed bring physical intensity. This combination creates multi-dimensional feud. Neither side is purely good or bad. Bron is aggressive but driven. Reed is seeking revenge but was provoked. Heyman is protecting his client but using harsh tactics. Moral ambiguity makes characters real. All three participants bring value. Bron, youth, genetics, future star. Reed, physical presence, underdog sympathy. Heyman, legendary status, promo ability. Fans genuinely don't know what happens next. Will Heyman turn on Reed? Bron's family get involved? Reed win or lose? Feud end or continue? Unpredictability creates investment. The feud plays out across platforms, TV segments, Twitter/X wars, Instagram posts, YouTube promos. Multi-platform storytelling reaches more fans. To maximize this feud, give it time, don't rush resolution, let it breathe. Not every week needs developments, build to logical conclusion, create memorable moments, leave door open for future chapters. Wrestling newsletter family, Paul Heyman calling Bron Breakker a big coward has created the hottest feud on Raw. This is what happens when you combine legendary advocacy with next-generation talent. Heyman's verbal destruction of Bron was brutal and necessary. Sometimes you need a master orator to articulate what fans are thinking. Heyman gave voice to the belief that Bron's tactics were questionable. Bron's response showed fire and defended his actions while accepting the steel cage challenge. He's not backing down, which makes him a credible heel. Bronson Reed is positioned perfectly as the victim seeking justice. His injury makes him sympathetic while his size makes him dangerous. The steel cage match is going to be brutal and unmissable. Two powerful athletes with a score to settle, trapped with nowhere to run. That's wrestling at its finest. The Steiner family legacy adds layers to this story. Bron carrying that name creates expectations and pressure that Heyman expertly exploited. Win or lose, all three men emerge from this feud with enhanced reputations. That's the mark of good booking. I want to hear from you. Tell me in the comments, is Bron a coward or strategic? Was Heyman right to attack the Steiner family legacy? Who wins the cage match? Rate this feud 1 to 10. If you think Heyman is right and Bron is a coward, smash that like button. If you're Team Bron, hit that button and defend him in the comments. Subscribe to Wrestling Newsletter for daily updates on this feud. Share this video with everyone who needs to see the most intense war of words in WWE. This is must-watch drama. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss any updates. Final question for maximum engagement: if you were booking the cage match finish, what would happen? Give me your detailed fantasy booking in the comments. Most creative answer gets featured in my next video. This has been Wrestling Newsletter, and remember, sometimes the most devastating attacks aren't physical but verbal. Paul Heyman's words cut deeper than any move Bron could execute. But words create heat, and heat creates money. This feud is printing money for WWE while giving us incredible entertainment. Bron vs. Reed in a cage is going to be insane. Until next time, stay passionate, stay engaged, and never underestimate the power of a Paul Heyman promo. Peace out.